I think we're recording.
Brainwashing the kids to treat their siblings nicely.
No, not that. Okay, so this could be like a good opening clip, but we'll get into what this is about here in a minute. But my problem with the Berenstain Bears is...
Berenstain Bears.
I mean, it's the mom. Like she is, like it is, this is so obviously written by an angry feminist.
Okay.
Like just so mad at her husband.
Really?
And my kids will watch these and they love the TV cartoons of it.
Yeah.
And there's one episode where it is so absurd. It's like the boys are playing football but like they can't play or they're not very good or something.
Yeah.
But then there's like this girl that like, she's like just automatically really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not actually on the team because it's beneath her. She's better than that. And they're just kind of begging her to like train them to get better, you know? Cause you see that all the time, right? and they like immediately go from being like, ooh, girls to like, wow, Susie's just the best.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wish I could tackle like Susie. Like she's so much stronger and faster than us. And then she like works with them one-on-one. And then by the end of it, I think she even like big leagues them and doesn't even come to the game. It's like you got it, you guys, I trained you. You're all good now. But it's just watching is just so like, who thinks this is like, what is going on here? Like, I'm not saying girls can't play football. Does anyone in the world think that the best football player in the world is a woman? Does anyone think that?
It's the same thing as my soapbox about sitcoms.
Yeah.
I'm going to get myself into trouble. The thing is...
It makes a better podcast when you say things that get you in trouble.
Okay, well, here's the thing, man. Who's reading this book to the kids?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know your audience.
Purchasing decisions. The moms. Who's watching?
Who goes to the book fair?
Who's watching the sitcoms? Moms and their kids. Why? Because dad's at work paying for the TV that you're watching on the electricity that it's using.
Yeah, you're getting in trouble
Paying
now.
for the books that you're buying. He's at work. He's not around watching you have a good laugh.
Stan and Jan Berenstain, they know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Mom's reading
they
the
sold
book.
a lot of books.
Dad comes home. Hey, how was bedtime? Oh, the kids were great. They loved the book that you bought for them.
You know,
doesn't
the book
catch the part.
that is like you're a buffoon
Exactly.
and mom knows everything and everything you do is stupid.
You're right. I never thought about the fact that it carried. I noticed it in television, but
no girls allowed. I bet
Dad,
it's just a gym.
Dad is just another one of the kids in all of these stories. Yeah,
well, that's an extension of mainstream media too.
Yeah,
I think it goes all the way back to Operation Mockingbird. But
well, I think you're right.
No, but it's a silly. I mean, the human experience is vast and wide, and people are different, and we're not all the same. And yeah, that became like a thing. I think that Married with Children. No, it goes back before Married with Children. That's where I really like was pretty obvious what was going on. Mm-hmm. But All in the Family, or not that. Was that All in the Family? Was that the one with Archie Bunker? What was the one with Archie Bunker?
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little before both of our time.
Yeah, I was really young. I remember watching that barely. But anyway, the idea is, there was a transition at some point where it was like laughing with dad to laughing at dad.
Yeah.
And now it's, dads can only be stupid. They can't be anything but
absolutely
like a complete buffoon. And moms have to know everything.
Ray Romano's kind of that character. I mean, this one hits close to home. I hate walking in when the kids are watching one of these shows. I'm like, oh yeah, dad doesn't know how to do anything. You need mom to help fix the dryer.
Berenstain Bears is just so on the nose about it.
Yeah.
That's the one that I literally like, I say it like as they're watching, I run it. Like the kids are watching. Let me guess. Mom knows what to do. Yeah. Let me guess. Papa Bear is going to screw it up.
Don't mess it up again.
So funny.
We're all having a good laugh.
Oh, that's funny. So speaking of Berenstain Bears, we decided, I didn't even do a welcome. How rude. Welcome to the Conspiracy Dad podcast, where you can find all things conspiracy. My name is Dante. I am your host. This is my good friend, Dave.
Hello.
co-host.
Yeah.
I don't know what you co-host.
I just like being a good friend. Yeah.
Good friend. We are so glad that you're joining us. We've been talking a lot about the Kennedys. And to be honest, it sent me in down a rabbit hole that I thought he climbed out of. And then it was like, back in there. Hey, come out. You got to go back in. And now I'm pretty sure LBJ did all of it. But we thought it'd be fun this week to take a break from, that is obviously a serious conspiracy. I mean, if the CIA and LBJ and a bunch of bad people murdered the president, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's heavy stuff.
Pretty serious.
Yeah.
And then this next one could seem like a lighthearted conspiracy theory. It could be, oh, that's fun. It's kind of fun to look at that. Or I mean, it could be really sinister. Yeah. It could be like the most sinister.
The existential underpinnings of this one they're big. But so, you're right. If you just go to the main website of this one, it's pretty light.
Yeah, it's
they featured in Good Housekeeping. So
did they?
Yeah, it's not. This isn't.
There's been movies made about it, and if you're wondering, on the edge of your seat, just dying to know what it is we're talking about, it's called the Mandela Effect. Okay, so you're looking at me like you maybe have a WikiLeaks article or something in front of you, giving kind of a brief summary of what the Mandela Effect is. Would you happen to have access to that, Dave?
I do. That was all. I needed to brag on myself. That was all off the top of my head, just so you know. But that was because I read the Wikipedia page earlier. Mandela Effect was coined. The phrase was coined by a paranormal researcher by the name of Fiona Bloom. She had it in her head that Nelson Mandela had been killed sometime in the 1980s. She claims to vividly remember news reports and watching his widow give a post-mortem speech kind of a thing after he's passed away. Something like 15 years goes by. She finds herself in the green room at a paranormal conference just chatting about a bunch of things before she goes up to speak. And one of the other people in the room goes, "Oh yeah, it's kind of like that time where everybody forgot Nelson Mandela already died." And she's like, "What? I thought that was just me." So she put up a website about it, and a lot of people seem to remember Nelson Mandela died in the mid-'80s.
Yeah, I did not. When did he die? Actually, it was probably like 7-8 years ago.
Yes, yeah.
Like during Obama's presidency, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so I didn't remember that, but that was just the beginning. Like if you dive into Mandela Effect, what that actually means.
Right.
So it seems like half of the population remembers him dying in the 80s. Half of the population remembers him dying in like 2013.
Yeah.
So how did it grow from there? When did people start to realize there's something funny going on?
I don't know without looking into more in the Wikipedia.
Well, for her, was it just like related to Mandela, or did she start to notice some of the other things too?
She brought it up, but this was just kind of general looking online. I mean, other people started saying, I've got that same sort of thing happen to me, but it was with the way they spell Oscar Mayer or
Berenstain Bears. This one I could not believe. So,
well, that's why I grabbed the book from my house. Like, no, that's not right. That's
when I first heard about this, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I just could not believe when somebody said Berenstain Bears. It's Berenstain Bears. My entire life, I've never heard anybody say Berenstain Bears. But if you look at the title right there, I'll hold it up for the people to see. It's definitely Oh gosh, it's switching cameras on me. Berenstain Bears. Okay, Berenstain Bears. No,
and that copy, I can say with a pretty great degree of certainty. I think it's a 1986 issued book.
This is yours?
This either came from my childhood house.
Yeah, it's 1986.
Or my wife's. I mean, I grabbed it out of my daughter's bedroom on the way here, but it's not like we bought new editions of Berenstain Bears.
They give like a weird Library of Congress cataloging publication
okay.
description of this. Annoyed that Sister Bear always beats them at baseball and
There
other
you go.
boy type activities, her brother and the other male cubs try to exclude her from their new club.
Yeah.
Number 1, sex role fiction. Number 2, brother and sisters fiction. Number 3, clubs fiction. 4 is bears fiction. Bears gets a backseat there. Yeah, because my sister could always beat me at baseball. That's just the life I had to live.
I did have a girl cousin that could throw harder and faster than all of us, but that's an anomaly. That's not the rule.
Right? Yeah, I think people get what we're saying. So anyway, that's another one that it grips you because you think back to like sitting in the 3rd grade, 4th grade school library and the teacher's reading of Berenstain Bear's book to you. And I think I've never heard Stain. Yeah. What do you think?
Specifically as it pertains to this one, my memory is not great. So if somebody tells me that's not how it went, I'm usually pretty quick to go, yeah, you're right. If you would have asked me prior to this week, how do you spell it? I would have said Berenstein, Stein. I kind of just did a quick survey of a few buddies this week. And hey, man, how do you spell that kid's book, Berenstein?
How many people knew what you were getting at?
They didn't have any idea I was asking about what we're talking about on this podcast.
They're all mouth breathers.
That's right. So they kept their mouth open, took a deep breath in.
Oh no.
Then they spelled it. Most people spelled it the way I would have thought, Stein. My wife, who I'm hesitant to call her a mouth breather because she's my wife. She might hear this.
Did she spell it wrong though?
She spelled it Berenstain.
But she said Steen?
She didn't correct me when I said spell Berenstein Bears. But she spelled it Stain. Thing about my wife is she's been
Wasn't she a librarian at some point?
She was a literature teacher, and she's
That's cheating.
Yeah, I think her degree's in English.
She's reading books all the time. And
point being, she paid a lot more attention to books than me or some of the guys I might have asked. Of course, one of the guys I asked, he also has a degree in English.
And he didn't catch it. He
spelled it Stin.
Literature, really? I mean, it's kind of a stretch.
That's a good point. Having said that, I mean, this particular example of the Mandela effect doesn't strike me as like, dead to rights. It's for sure a thing because most of us didn't pay a lot of attention to spelling, particularly if it's something that is spelled in a kind of a cursive script. The A, with the tail.
It's a lot of books though. You'd feel like Stan and Jan would have been the first ones to correct everyone and say, it's Stain.
It's Berenstain.
Not Steen.
Yeah.
It's like people named Weinstein versus Weinstein. You really want to make that distinction these days.
Yeah. I met a guy named Juan not long ago, and he corrected me, and it's Juan. And I'm like, come on, man. I'm from Tulsa. This is hard for me. Help.
I kind of have a problem with that sometimes. My daughter corrected me the other day because I said Iran. Oh, and her friend is from Iran, and she goes, Dad, it's Iran.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, well, not in Oklahoma. It's not.
Yeah, it's not
Iran. I mean, it's like when you people have accents, and this is an Oklahoma accent. I don't say Sirhan. I say Sirhan. And it'd be like if I as a German walked into a German restaurant and said, started just pronouncing everything with a very thick German accent, it'd be like, not really from Germany though. So,
yeah.
But if you're from Germany, you read that menu, it's going to sound a little different. You're probably going to be a little more accurate in the
Having said that, I mean, I do try and pronounce Juan's name correctly. I'm asking for a little bit of patience. How did he
correct you? Did he?
It felt like he just said exactly what I said right back to me, but like it was incorrect. Hey, I'm Dave. My name's Juan. Hey, good to meet you, Juan. No, it's Juan. And I'm like, okay, man.
Try speaking Vietnamese. I tried to learn my wife's family's Vietnamese. And I remember at some point I was trying to learn some things to say. And I'm like saying it to her mom. And it's like, I would say it and she'd say it back. She's like, no. And I'm like, I don't hear the difference. I'm literally saying it exactly how you're saying it. And it was like, not quite. The sound is subtle.
It is subtle. It's got to be the difference of, if you teach somebody something rhythmic on the guitar and they're not catching the syncopation, some of that stuff is hard to relay to somebody if they aren't picking up on it. So
I always tell my kids that life is hard. Words are difficult.
Words, they're tough. Yeah.
So, where were we going with that?
So,
it's been a long day.
Berenstain, that's one of the ones that stood out to me, Berenstain. And that one I thought, not a big deal. I was not paying a lot of attention when I was consuming most of my Berenstain Bears. I didn't pay that much attention when the kids would grab it off the shelf for me to read to them. So, I mean, like I said, I had to go home, look on the shelves, find one and go, I'll be damned. Stain. Now,
they start adding up though.
Right.
So I feel the same way. Like the first one, you're like, Mandela. Okay, well, maybe I was thinking of when he was released from prison and whatever. And I when it adds up, you kind of go, I can see how people could get confused about that. And the Stare and Stain, I could see how you go, yeah, okay, people just pronounce it that way because like I said, we're American. Yeah. We're using a certain accent or whatever. And then if you get on one of those Reddit, feeds, and they start like showing you like all of them, I had to get a few down before it was like, okay, there's something going on. I don't know exactly what it is, but I used Chat GPT, which if you haven't discovered Chat GPT yet, it's unbelievable what that thing can do. And all of you coders and lawyers and anybody that like communicates, copy editors, you better get a backup plan because it's coming quick. Anyway, so I asked Chat GPT, I said, I just typed in it, can you make me a list of the 25 or 20 most popular Mandela Effects, examples? And there's a lot of them. I think for me, the biggest one was the movies, like the movie lines where they're like, what you remember as like, not just a movie line. It's like the seminal crucial, most famous line from the movie. And then they say, yeah, that's not right. And you're like, what? And so the biggest one was Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. Was that the one? It's the one where Luke Skywalker gets his hand cut off.
That's Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, Empire Strikes Back. And in that, the famous line is, I got to look it up, make sure I get it right. I'll say the wrong one. Luke, I am your father. So everyone remembers Darth Vader cuts off Luke Skywalker's hand. He's hanging from the rafters and arguing with his dad, like kids do. And he says, Luke, I am your father. He says, no, or whatever. That's not true. Yeah. But that Luke, I am your father, everyone remembers that. And that's not in the movie. He says, no, I am your father. Which is not a huge change, but it is not how you remember it, right?
Yeah. Many of these, at least some of the movie examples that I came across like this one are similar to Berenstain Bears in that it's all times like I'm hardly paying attention to things now, much less. I mean, like Empire Strikes Back, 1980 comes out, right? So most of the times that I saw it, I would have been under the age of 10 when I really saw it, the concentrated highest amount of times. Now, references to that movie, as a teenager, you've got a lot of comedies and stuff like referencing that line.
Yeah.
Same to be said for like Jaws, we're going to need a bigger boat. That's one of those Mandela Effect references.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah.
That's in, it's not Cinderella, is it? No, it's not Cinderella.
Is it Sleeping Beauty?
Sleeping Beauty, I think. But it's actually Magic Mirror on the wall. Luke, I'm your father. Oh, Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And he doesn't say that. He says life was like a box of chocolates.
That would be a good example of one that was like, no, that one I was actually old enough to pay attention. I mean,
Yeah.
that one I really feel
I
like
remember like everybody made jokes about life is like a box of chocolates. And it's a small difference, but he didn't say is, he says was. I mean, I got so into this with my neighbor that when we watched the one about Matrix, I just did not believe that
What's
one.
the Matrix one?
So in the Matrix, there's a scene. Tell me if you can remember a scene with, what's Lawrence Fishburne's character's name? Morpheus.
Yeah.
Morpheus says to Keanu Reeves,
Neo,
yeah. What if I told you that everything you believe is actually an illusion or something like that? But the main thing was, what if I told you? And ... something about reality. And he actually never says that in the movie.
Oh.
And I could close my eyes and picture it and go like, I remember him saying that. And that actually became a meme of what if I told you wasn't actually in the movie.
Oh, and that's funny.
So my neighbor had it on DVD and I was like bound to determine like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I know that he said, what if I told you everything you believe is not real or whatever. And we watched it together and beginning to end, that scene that I have in my head does not exist. It never happened.
Okay, that's pretty weird. Yeah. So like I said, these like most of them that I came across, no, I'm your father. It's not we're gonna need a bigger boat. It's you're gonna need a bigger boat. Those are like I wasn't really paying attention anyway. I've heard references to that more than I've actually heard the line on the film. Something like a Matrix or that Forrest Gump example. Those are more where I'm like, no, I was movie watching age when those happened.
Yeah.
That I probably would have actually.
There was another big one was I Love Lucy show.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy, you have some splaining to do. That was like his famous line. He never said that.
Actually.
He never said that. And it's kind of maddening to go look these things up because, they're definitely, the thing about it that bugged me, and I guess at this point, I think we're all in a simulation, so I don't know what any of it matters, but what bugged me.
It's ironic that the movie about the simulation.
Yeah, they even messed with that, is that it would make sense to me if you and I both remembered things incorrectly in various ways. Yeah. But what's strange is that it seems like about half of the population seems to all remember things incorrectly, but they remember them incorrectly in the exact same way. So you're not creating lots of different versions of how somebody said something. They're all saying the same thing incorrectly. And that to me is interesting to think like, well, how is it like hive mind kind of stuff? Like, how do we all incorrectly remember that line the same way?
Mm-hmm. My rationalization for that as I was looking into this was more of that, lots of references, your uncle makes the crack, we're going to need a bigger boat. And that just kind of is the line that gets stuck in everybody's craw from that. Lucy, you got some splaining to do, that sort of thing. How that spreads so far and wide, I don't have a great.
Is it even possible though?
I think it's possible.
I don't know about that. Really? Like one person says it incorrectly and then everyone just starts saying it incorrectly?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like, we do have I can't think of someone specifically, but I think everybody's got a friend that likes to point, actually, it's Lucy, you need to explain to me about this. Though they like to correct you. But man,
that's of all of these, they all independently don't seem that weird. The weirdest thing about it to me is that we all said Berenstein.
Except for my wife.
Except for your wife.
Yeah.
Or no,
who does the most
I'm just saying that
people
that are remembering it incorrectly, their incorrect memory is all the same.
Yeah, that's
it's not
curious.
various. Yeah. It's not life, could be like a box of chocolates or, you know what I mean? It's all the exact same. Life was like a box. Life is like a box
of caramels, something.
Yeah. And so that indicates to me that it has something to do with CERN.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I also put into Chat GPT. Send me the top 5 explanations for the reasons why we might be experiencing the Mandela effect. You want to read through some of these?
Well, I
Or do we want to
go ahead and get into
do you want,
CERN.
let's go through and make sure we
okay.
highlighted. Are there any other Mandela effects that you want to point out that people might know?
Can I
not
point
know
out
about?
ones that I kind of like to blow off?
Yes.
Like Kit Kat. Is there a hyphen between kit and cat?
So that's the candy.
Right. Yeah.
And some people remember that there is a hyphen. Some people don't.
Yeah, I can't remember which is the correct one. So that's a good example of why I'm like, who cares, guys? That's not that. I mean, I don't remember it well enough. What I mean by who cares is that's not like Luke, I'm your father, where I'm like, that's a quintessential line of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the movie.
Usually you tear the wrapper so fast.
We're gonna need a bigger boat. That's the line from Jaws. That's not.
I couldn't tell you any other line from Jaws.
Like, nobody can.
I thought that it was just shots of the shark coming out of the water. Like, I didn't realize there was actually dialogue.
Well, when you're a kid, that's all you care about. And then you're like absolutely terrified of dying of a shark, even though you live in Oklahoma. And it's like, there's no way. And that was another fun fact I heard somebody say once. It was like, every time people start eating more ice cream, the incidence of shark attacks goes up.
That's funny.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So what would that be? This was a demonstration of the difference between causation and correlation.
Is it okay? Is it just to keep you from eating ice cream? Is that your
point?
No.
Or
you just, I mean, I get,
but people can skew data to say what they want them to say,
course,
and so they can look at this, and it's a fact. When people eat more ice cream, more people get attacked by sharks.
Well,
and you could look at that and think there's a connection there, when really it's just, well, people eat ice cream in the summer when it's hot. And people swim in the ocean when it's hot, and those things happen simultaneously, but they're not actually connected. Anyway, I started to derail. I just thought that was.
I like that one a lot, at least in so much as it's going to help me explain correlation not being the same as causation.
Yes, with your children, you can pull that one. Yeah, there you go, dads. Okay. Sex in the City, Sex and the City.
Yeah.
It's not in the city; it's and the city.
Yeah,
and
that's like I didn't watch that show.
I didn't watch it anyway.
And I actually thought it was the new one. Like when they said it's not actually this, it's the other. I was like, well, that's the one I thought it was. So what idiot thought it was the wrong one?
Well, you're from the other parallel universe.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Skechers, the shoe. I don't buy Skechers, so I don't really care how they spell it.
I know he's not going to watch this, so I'll go ahead and say it. But my business partner showed up in work the other day in Skechers, and I did seriously feel bad for him. I was just like, "What are you?" I guess we're dads.
Did we talk about the time I wore the cargo pants?
Oh my gosh! So, do you want to tell it, or do you want me to tell it?
Just
you tell it from your perspective. What it felt like, Dante, is like what it felt like coming from me. Like, how did you take that?
Well, it was one of those. We had a weekend full of gigs. Some of them were out of town.
Might need some supplies.
I packed cargo pants, and I remember thinking, this is a dicey move. Like, Dante's aware of his image, and I mean that in the best possible way.
Band,
we're going to be on stage.
Wearing whatever.
You want to look like you're supposed to be on stage.
Yeah.
Ted, another guy that like pretty much always looks like he's ready to have his picture taken. And then Matt, who arguably the same thing, like knows what he's supposed to wear when he goes onto a stage. Like not Birkenstocks. And I put those cargo pants in the thing thinking like, well, I'm not going to wear them on stage, but these are good Saturday pants. And then we play. I think we had a couple gigs Friday. We played Friday afternoon, Friday evening, get up Saturday morning in the hotel. And I'm like, we're going to just be
walking
around today. Yeah. And I put on these cargo pants and barely get out of the bathroom. And immediately it's just, cargo pants. And I was like,
do you have room for my flashlight?
And I thought this was 50-50, not a good choice when I made the call. And now I'm immediately regretting. And then it's one of those, you can either just swallow your pride and change pants then, or you can lean into it and be like,
you can't do that,
because
then you're just you lose all respect, right? You're like, you got to own it.
Just keep the pants.
I wear cargo pants, and
so for the whole day it was just it was cracks about it. And it was one of those where I thought there's no way out of this. Like I agree that I deserve getting made fun of for this because I think cargo pants are pretty lame too. They're not for tonight, guys.
I just wondered has anybody ever actually utilized all of the space in their cargo pants for anything? Like you have all these pockets and you think like, what, my God, what could you need? What could you possibly need to carry around?
Particularly if you're a musician on a Saturday. What?
I can see, man. Okay, I got my wallet. Even if you were like a military guy, I got a gun in this one.
Yeah.
You still got like 5 pockets to fill.
Yeah, they were, golly.
Old Navy wasted a lot of fabric.
I have a lot of choices I made in my life that I would have done things differently. And
that's one.
When I'm going to my grave, that's going to be up in the top 5, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was hilarious.
So Skechers, if I would have paired those with the cargo pants, that would have been a real.
God, he just, something about him. He took them off for some reason and I had to pick them up. They were so light and soft. I just thought like, what a wet sandwich. What are you doing wearing these things? Oh my God. I almost want to throw them at him. Get your dignity back, man. Oh, I didn't throw him at him. I set him down and I looked at him and I just shook my head. All right.
These podcasts are dangerous because I'm thinking about friends of mine that have Skechers that I've never told them that I feel this.
Oh my God. I apologize to any of you dads out there wearing Skechers, but you got to know how stupid you look.
Throw them away.
They're so economical. Oh, I might have to pause this. Oh, goodness. So, is there a... You're going to stop now. Oh, my God. I got a headache. I'm laughing so hard. Oh, there's no Mandela effect about Skechers, is there?
No,
they've always been stupid.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Is there some kind of alternate universe where Skechers? No, I remember they used to be awesome.
They used to be so cool. Oh, goodness. Okay. So that's all of the Mandela effects that we're going to touch on. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, just get on ChatGPT and say, can you tell me all the cool Mandela effects? There's a lot of them. Now, here's the fun part of trying to explain what exactly is going on with the Mandela effect. And there's lots of theories. Here's theory number 1, according to the AI system. It's a parallel universe theory. This theory suggests that the Mandela effect is caused by people experiencing a parallel universe where different versions of events have occurred and they're overlapping somehow. Like your shoes made their way into our reality and you should get the hell back where you belong. Oh, God. So I don't know how that actually works, except it's on some way.
Just my thought, and maybe it was when I was hearing some of these other theories, was like, for such a big shift in the universe to happen, these seem like awfully benign consequences.
It's a good point.
Like
it's an accident or it's
trivial. Like, oh, you mean to tell me that you shifted universes
just to do this little thing?
And mainly the biggest thing that happened is now Curious George no longer has a tail.
Yeah, or a movie line is slightly changed.
But you still get the references, so you're not even like a social pariah.
If they were doing it on purpose, like if you had the ability to skip over to a parallel universe, I imagine that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's like you go through all of this just to make that stupid, trivial little change. Like,
or to miss that.
You'd want to change something big, right?
Yes.
Like kill Hitler when he's a baby.
Right.
Or something,
yeah. Yeah. That's exactly the kind of thing you'd think would change. Right.
Would you kill Hitler?
Well, I mean, I think the first answer, like the gut reaction, yes. I mean, without knowing the butterfly effect.
You kill baby Hitler. Like he's 3 years old.
Does he have the mustache then?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd like kill 3-year-old baby Hitler? I mean, it's a common hypothetical.
Right.
Would you?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, what do you say to that?
You just admitted on camera that you would kill a 3-year-old infant before he'd done anything wrong. He's not
3. He has not done nothing wrong. 3-year-olds. have a rap sheet.
That's true.
Yeah.
They
Let's
can
not kid ourselves.
But he's killed no Jews.
That's true.
Okay, he's
Right.
he's an innocent baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough call.
But he was gonna kill a lot.
He did.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, 3-year-old was gonna.
3-year-old was gonna, but is gonna the same as
Man,
did?
or I mean,
innocent until proven guilty.
what about
you
kill the guy that who got Hitler leaned in that direction? Like, who nudged in that direction. So do you kill that guy? Because that's really who we're after. So maybe there's a way we can avoid.
Yeah, but you don't want to.
Baby.
You don't want to go. I mean, that could get weird. I mean,
or do you kill that?
What
guy?
if he's from the group of people that he hated, and that's why he hated him? And then you're like, well, is your solution to?
Okay, yeah. Then it turns back in on itself.
2 wrongs don't make a right, except 2 rights made an airplane. Dad jokes. Have you ever heard that Norm Macdonald Holocaust denier joke about the marionette?
I don't think so.
I can't even begin to deliver it like he does, so I'm not going to. But you should
look it up.
You should look it up.
Okay.
It's his second greatest joke, next to the welding hat joke. You ever hear the welding hat joke?
No. But
both highly inappropriate for this podcast, but you should look them up.
I want to commend you for not just spitting the joke out.
I have way too much respect for Norm Macdonald.
That's cool.
I literally cried when he died.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize how much I loved him. And when he died, yeah, like I just, it was so tragic because for any mouth breathers that don't know, he died
really,
of cancer.
He really did die.
Really unexpectedly.
That's not like a thing that.
Yeah, no, that's not a Mandela effect. He died of cancer. And not even his family knew that he was sick. Like he really did not want, I think his son knew, and I think, but his extended family, like nobody knew that he was sick. And it was because he just did not want to be remembered as the sick guy. He wanted to be remembered as the greatest stand-up comedian of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was. And there's some, I mean, I always loved his work, but when he died in that way, it was just the most tragic thing I think I'd heard in a long time. It was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe he did that.
Yeah.
Going out on his own terms.
Usually, if you do something like that, I think I'm the type of person I would want a few people to know so they could pat me on the back like, God,
he didn't want any.
What a brave thing you're doing.
He didn't like charity, and he didn't suffer fools.
Yeah.
Dave. So.
He's yeah, he's the first person that, like, have you ever heard him talk about his gambling problem?
Yeah.
When he'd talk about, you start losing, and he's like, there comes a point where you're like, you just want to tank it all. And the way he explained it, I can't remember if it was on Rogan or if it was on Marin or somewhere else, but it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe that explains, we'll get to it eventually. Someone asked this week, my mom asked this week, she said, are you going to do the Las Vegas shooting? And I was like, of course we're going to do, like, they still haven't given us an answer as to why that happened. So
yeah, gonna have to
conspiracies
look into that.
galore. Yeah. I mean, okay. So parallel universe seems like an odd one. Quantum superposition theory is the next one. The theory suggests that the Mandela effect is caused by quantum particles in a superposition state where the waveform and the particle exist in multiple states at the same time, thus leading to the perception of 2 different versions of reality. Are you familiar with what quantum physics says about quantum superposition?
I listened as hard as I could just now.
Okay, this is actually a weird thing that, like, you could, if you want to be kind of weirded out about reality, quantum mechanics is so strange that Einstein never believed it. He said it was spooky action at a distance. He said that as a joke, meaning that particles are quantumly entangled, and no matter where they are in the universe, they could be across the universe from each other, they will react the exact same way to actions upon them. And so yeah, there could be a quantum particle it's entangled with one particle here and one on the moon, and whatever happens to the one on the moon is going to happen to the one here the exact same time. And that's actually a thing. So, like, it also leads to what's known as quantum superposition. So an example would be like lead. Lead exists in I think 2 to 3 different shapes.
Mm-hmm.
One as a particle, it looks like a football, and one I think looks more like a cube, or it's just different is the point. But to answer the question of, well, what state is it in? If this is a piece of lead and I go, well, what state is that particle in? I probably sound like a complete asshat trying to explain physics to you, but it's both. That's what superposition is saying, is that until it's observed, until we have a electron microscope or something that can look and see exactly what that particle looks like, it's actually both at the same time.
So it decides.
It doesn't decide what shape
perceived.
it is until it's perceived.
Kind of like you would pose for a picture.
Yeah,
right?
I guess.
I mean, like 1, 2, 3, go, smile or not.
Yeah.
Like
and then at that moment,
it commits.
It commits to a position, and the question of what position fundamentally is it is actually unknown.
That's a weird theory. Like you can't disprove that, right?
No, that's and the quantum mechanics. If you're a skeptic, I mean, there's not a lot that's more rock solid than quantum mechanics now.
You sound real smart when you said that.
Well, it's true. I mean, if you look at quantum computing, the reason it works is because quantum mechanics works. So, I mean, if you're going to say quantum mechanics isn't real, if superposition isn't real, then how does quantum computing actually work? And I cannot explain that. I'm an idiot.
Tell you how regular computing works.
There's a lot. There's like videos you can look up about it. But I mean, you ever hear about the double slit experiment? This sounds so bad. Have you heard? It's like such a dad joke moment. Right. Oh, have I heard about the double slit experiment?
That's what she said. Yeah.
It's a real physics experiment. Have you heard of it?
This sounds like you're trying to talk a college girl into something.
No.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
You really don't know about it.
No, I really
don't. So it's a similar, but it has to do with quantum particles and how they're observed in reality, and that reality doesn't actually exist until we observe it. And then this experiment, they would shoot particles through a slit, and it would like hit a wall on the backside of it and create like a cluster pattern of, like, if you did like 1,000 or whatever, eventually it's going to create a pattern on the back of it. And I could get this backwards, but basically when sometimes they would behave like waves and sometimes they would behave like particles. And it had to do with whether or not we were observing when they passed through this, slit, whether they would behave like a particle or a wave. They would behave differently if you're watching them or you're not watching them.
Okay.
And they did all kinds of experiments to try to trick the particles. And they even came up with experiments where they would have it like being pinged around at a bunch of different things. And even if the particle made it through the slit and in onto the wall and behaved in the correct way, and they had a system for tracking what it had done, when you went back and looked at the system, it's like the particle had traveled back in time and corrected for the right answer. Sounds spooky, but that's why Einstein said that. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
So that is a compelling theory that it might have something to do with quantum superposition, because quantum superposition is such a weird, it is arguably a very strange thing. And it actually really exists. And we don't even have the slightest idea why, or like what that even means about fundamental reality.
Yeah.
I mean, if tree falls in the woods.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't make a sound. The next one is memory implantation theory. This suggests that the Mandela Effect is caused by people's memories being implanted with false information, leading to the perception of two different versions of reality. I don't know. It seems like a lot of
That's
work.
Funny because as I've read that theory before. I know my memory is not great. I also know I'm a pretty agreeable person. And when I read that, I was like, I think that's what's happening. And not to dive back into the Kennedy stuff, but when you think about Robert Kennedy and the girl in the polka dot dress, some people stipulate like, well, a lot of people heard that on the news that there's a girl with a polka dot dress. This girl, like her memory is not really accurate. And then people hear that and now they start parroting this false memory.
That's back to the whole reason for a Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah, yeah, right.
because it works.
Sure, it works, and just as you're reading it, I'm like, probably works on half the population. We got 1 out of 2 people here, and I thought I am the type of person that if you told me Kit Kat always had a hyphen,
You just
I'd go, yeah, okay,
probably
not a big deal. But then like the woman who coined the phrase Mandela the Mandela effect, she is a paranormal researcher. She's the type of person that would get an idea in her head and you couldn't change it, you know? And I think you're one that way too. You're hard to convince of something if you think otherwise, right? And that's why
cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, yeah. I think like even as you're reading this, I can tell you're like, I don't know about that. And I'm going, no, people for sure can be told.
No, I just read it meaning the way I read it, I thought it meant like individually implanting memories in people's heads, like, you know, going around like putting Neuralink or something but what you're saying is like you could do it on a mass scale.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd be like, well, you just broadcast a lie. Everyone believes it.
It particularly to me, the time frame makes sense because a lot of these references I'm seeing to this effect are like things that happened when I wasn't paying a lot of attention. Like,
yeah, the only thing I'd say about that though is that why? What's the purpose? If you're
I don't know that it's deliberate a lot of the time, you know.
Oh,
so I'm saying like
then maybe that's why it's trivial.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so like Luke, I'm your father. Okay. You hear that when you're a kid, your cousin says it, you know,
yeah, but
you guys are
every
playing
damn
swords.
time we watch the movie, he doesn't say that.
Yeah.
So you get corrected every time you watch the movie and you still hear it wrong.
I
watched that movie many times hearing it that way.
Yeah.
So if that was what happened and I heard one person say it wrong, then I'm hearing it, which could be possible. Like they've done tests like that where you think you're hearing, like you have something said a certain way so many times and like you can't pick out when it's different. You know what I mean? If it's a subtle change.
Well, yeah, I think about like particularly that movie. We're talking about a sword fight at the end of the movie. And if you've seen the movie a number of times and maybe you've heard the line referenced more than once, you know, it's kind of already in there. I mean, oftentimes if I'm watching one of my favorite movies, I get that far into it and I'm kind of starting to check out.
Yeah.
Either I've fallen asleep or I've, you know, seen some of my other favorite stuff.
God, that's a dad thing. At what point in the movie do you like fall asleep?
I'm thinking of like, I'd be curious, like if there were one of these that had to do with Top Gun, then we'd have to bring Kokomo on. Like if they changed it, like, no, there's 2 O's in Goose Boy to like, you know, something slightly different than that. Kokomo would be the line judge on that.
And if he was wrong,
then I'd be really.
Then we know something's up.
Yeah, exactly.
Thumbs up.
Now, Star Wars, when you just said I watched that movie tons when I was a kid, I was just about to open my mouth to say, I don't think people watch that movie as many times as they think they did. It's such an iconic movie, particularly that episode of Star Wars. I'm not saying you didn't watch it a lot. I'm saying I know.
Yes, I don't know, at least 20 times.
I don't think
Maybe
I
more.
watched it as much as for as familiar as I am with the storyline and the characters. I didn't actually watch Empire Strikes Back a whole lot. I'm more familiar with references to the movie.
Were you a Trekkie instead?
No.
Thank God.
Sitting in my Skechers, my cargo pants, watching Star Trek.
Nah.
But my point is, I think there are pop culture movies. And
What if Nick watches this? That'd be hilarious. And he like never shows up in his Skechers again.
That would mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Yeah. I did that.
I don't have those cargo pants anymore.
I'm enough of a narcissist that if I make people feel uncomfortable, I don't like to make them feel uncomfortable, but if I get what I want out of it, I'm perfectly fine with it. I did that with in the neighborhood. Like people had their Christmas lights on at like Halloween.
I saw that from you, yeah.
Before Halloween. And I just posted on the Facebook with some like, hey guys, it's not even Halloween. And then my other neighbor came and he was like, because a bunch of people, like, oh, hater or whatever. I'm like, whatever, turn your damn lights off. Yeah. And my neighbor came up and said something about it. And I was like, I don't care. Lights are off. I win.
Yeah. I saw that from you and I immediately thought, I would be mortified if I found out somebody turned their lights off because I thought they were stupid for doing it.
The opposite. Yeah. No, I felt good about it. Like I was like, win.
You're right. That was a
I
victory.
won.
Good job.
Lights are off. Thank you. Maybe I think that's part of being a dad though, like becoming like an old dad. You just
locking
I
into
don't
your
care.
thing.
Like
Right.
I care what somebody in my neighborhood thinks of me. I mean, that's
And let's be honest,
wasted energy.
You're right. Halloween, before Halloween is too early.
Oh God, I wasn't being ridiculous.
The
at
real
all.
season is Thanksgiving to
It was
New
like
Year's.
October 2nd, and it's like Halloween or Christmas lights on. Like, really?
Yeah.
I could give you.
And
like,
it's also, while we're on that subject, it's bleeding way over. I still have, like tonight when I drive home, I'll still see lights on, and we're real close to February now.
It's probably the same people that turn them on October 2nd that they still got them on January 26th.
I'll bet it's the people that didn't get to it. You know, to me, Thanksgiving weekend is when you put them up.
Yes.
And you
thank
you. That's right.
We're not. You're a Protestant, and you understand that.
You should be waving at the other dads in the neighborhood from your rooftop.
That's exactly
like on Black Friday or Saturday, like going, "Hey, we're all doing our lights. Good for us."
Yeah.
By Sunday evening, Thanksgiving weekend, your lights are up, and you've replaced any bulbs that need.
Why do we even have to tell other dads this?
New Year's weekend is when they come down. Right?
Thank
we
you.
all know that. If you don't get to it, it's kind of embarrassing.
No, actually, no, I disagree with that.
Oh.
They come down on Epiphany, right?
What's that?
You're Protestants. You don't even know. But
no, we do New Year's.
It's like 12 days after Christmas.
Okay.
Something like that. See, I'm not even
it's
a good
little
Catholic.
bit after. It
changes every.
Still, it's about a week after New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you said the weekend after New Year's?
Well, no, you're keeping your lights up a little longer than me.
About a week longer, I think.
I'm talking holiday weekend is New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's they still stay
like
up.
New Year's Day. About you climb out of bed and you go get your lights down
for Epiphany. I'll look it up.
If you say 12 days after Christmas, you're 2 weeks in. You know, if I saw a neighbor that was like a week or two after me, and it's say January 15th, I'm willing to let it go. But I don't think they should be turning them on anymore. Definitely not.
Yeah, it's so like in 2023 it'll be January 6th, and it just celebrates the wise men.
Okay.
So I believe it's 12 days after Christmas, or either way, it's a weekend usually after the New Year's, typically. For the Catholics.
Yeah.
You guys write your own Bible, and make your own whatever. You guys do whatever you want to do. But if you're a Catholic, I think usually Epiphany is like Christmas over. Okay, now put everything away. Mm-hmm. But even then, I mean, you got a buffer. Like it's not like you have to do it right then.
No,
but by the end of January.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you were somebody putting up your lights on October 2nd, and you still got them out right now.
Yeah.
It's not because of some like deep conviction. You're just lazy.
So yeah, just like the lights on. We're a little bit more indulgent. This group of adults.
You just lack prudence.
Yeah. The upside to this generation of parents is we hand out better candy at Halloween.
Did you ever hear that Philomena Kunk, the British comedian? Have you ever heard her?
Could you tell by the way I looked?
Yeah, you're like,
I've heard that.
Is that a dirty word? Yeah. She had a bit about Christmas, and she says on Christmas, she does all these YouTube shorts. It's just hilarious. The funniest woman on the planet. I can't believe I never sent you any of her stuff, Philomena Kunk. And she says on Christmas, Santa brings presents to all of the good children and none to the bad children, except that actually he just brings presents to the good and the bad children who have money. So actually Santa doesn't like the poor children. It's pretty good.
That is good. Oh yeah. No, you've shown me her before. She is funny.
The funniest. If you don't know who she is and you're listening to this podcast, do yourself a favor. Okay, next one.
Yeah.
Mass hallucination theory. This theory suggests that the Mandela Effect is caused by a mass hallucination where people are experiencing a shared false memory. Not a whole lot different than the last one, because you could be, but a mass hallucination is like seeing something that's not actually there. Mm-hmm. I guess that could be a theory, but why, how? I don't understand that one really. I thought that one of my favorite theories was on here, but it doesn't look like it is. Last one, just so we get through it. Mass perception theory. This theory suggests that the Mandela Effect is caused by a collective misreception. Is that a word? Where people perceive misperception. I can't read. Different versions of reality due to the influence of mass media and popular culture. That's not much different than the third theory, the mass implantation theory. I mean, one might imply intent and no intent, but similar.
That to me, that's the most feasible. One point I was going to make before we got off into the scheduling of Christmas light installation and taken down was when I was looking at this, a lot of it seems like people started noticing this kind of sometime between 2000 and 2010. It's stuff that was kind of pop culture in the early 80s, a lot of the things. And what strikes me is like, okay, this is people that have time to get on the internet and make posts about this, or, you know, the internet's just getting started. It's like we didn't have the forum for this conversation beforehand. So nobody really noticed that, like Jaws, for instance, would have been on TV. Maybe you catch it on TNT every once in a while. If somebody misquoted the line, you really wouldn't notice. Until now, you know, the internet's got an audience for everyone.
Fact check by everybody.
Yeah, fact check for everybody. And also, you just go, all you have to do is Google what's the line in Jaws or whatever. And then you happen onto something like it's actually.
Man, that's one of my biggest problems with the future. I mean, I wrote that the song Crazy, like that was, there's a lot to the song, but one of the lines in it was like this idea that like, so the line is talking about maybe they say we're not alone and maybe they might be here, talking about aliens. And if it's the War of the World, you can watch it right here, meaning like right here on your phone.
Yeah.
And can't remember the next line, but it's something about like,
maybe I'm crazy. That's the hook.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm crazy. But no, the next verse was about like, if everything we know is coming through a lens, like, how do you know? You know what I mean?
You mentioned 1984 a few weeks ago, and since then I listened to the whole book, and the main character, Winston, works for, I forget the name of the department that he works for, but it's basically they just redact
Ministry of...
Might be Ministry of Truth.
Ministry of Truth, that's what it is.
But his job is essentially to rewrite history day to day. So yeah, you go, that's been an issue currently. Like, credible news sources are now starting to change. They're going back and editing stories without making a note of. Well, that's
what I was saying about researching some of these things on YouTube versus, you know, ShootBit or BitChute or Rumble. Even YouTube, you know, has a lot of information in it, but there's certain things that they definitely censor. I mean, say anything about that. It's off. You can't do that. Right. So,
that's why I grabbed a physical copy of the Berenstain Bears. Yes. That I knew was like OG copy.
Well, do you have any personal theories as to what you think is going on with Mandela Effect?
Yeah, I mean, really what I think is it's just people misremembering things, and it's stuff that they did
collectively all
at
the same time.
And it's, you know, again, most of the time it's things like Kit Kats that I wasn't passionate enough to, and I was like, if you would have asked me, I think I would have said there was a hyphen. Turns out I can't even remember.
I think there's no hyphen.
Yeah, so that Berenstain Bears was one that I was like, that one I'm pretty sure was an E, but again, I wasn't paying a lot of attention. So I don't know if it's kind of a situation where ones that people call out, you know, I wasn't even aware that I was misremembering it. There's nothing that I have on my own that I go, you know what nobody notices is that this changed.
Yeah, but so you don't think that there's anything or anyone behind it. It's just a natural evolution of history.
Yeah.
Is that we're going to all incorrectly remember insignificant, trivial things about our history and our memory, and we're all going to remember them incorrectly in exactly the same way. That's just natural. When you put it that way.
I think that a lot of us aren't spending enough energy trying to remember it that correctly, and so then when it gets
but it doesn't address the idea that it's all the same.
Yeah,
it's like there's only two versions of reality.
Right.
There's this one, and there's this one, and you've either got this one or this one. That's it. That doesn't really explain why there's not 50 versions of reality.
That's a good point. I mean, it's. I see where you're going. It's not like one person thinks it's Luke, I'm your father, and then the next one is like,
Brian, I'm your father.
Brian, or like, Luke, not only did I kill your father, but I am your father. Like a little more explanation.
Variations of it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it is curious that people remember specifically, you know, hey, that Monopoly guy, he had a monocle. Anybody else remember that?
Did you ever see the video that Sinbad did about it?
No, but he's part of this.
So there's one of them is that Sinbad was in a movie in the 90s, and he played a genie in the movie called Shazam.
Yeah.
Did you have any memory of that?
See, that's again, like, if you would have said, hey, remember that movie with Sinbad, Shazam? I'd be like, yeah, I think so. And then they'd go, that didn't exist. It was it the movie that I think that there was a movie with Shaq in it named Kazam?
Yeah.
Right. So
it's just because everyone's racist.
I was like, well, I was
like one black guy who looks like
neither one of them are Hollywood stars that I was paying attention to at the time that movie was made. It's not one I would have seen.
I did have it a moment, but no. So I was asking because you can look up, there's a YouTube video he did with Comedy Central.
Okay. Now what?
Probably about 5 or 6 years ago. He went and made a movie with or not a movie, but like a clip of Shazam.
That's fun.
With all of these little nuggets. And they filmed it like it was from the 90s. So it looked really old school. It's hilarious. It is so funny. And when it came out, people, for a minute, people were freaking out. Because they're like, see?
I knew it.
He made a movie. And then you look closer, it's like, he's got a lot of makeup on. It's like, hey, he's an old guy now. Like, but he played along with it. It was funny. And yeah, I could see how you could go, you know, Shazam, Kazam, I don't know. But people were asking him, he did it because people were asking him all the time, like, you were in a genie movie. I know I saw you in a genie movie. And he just got sick of it and was like, I never played a genie. So my favorite explanation, it's what might be happening. And you could look up, there's lots and lots of variations of it. But did you come across any of the theories that involved the CERN, the Hadron Hadron Collider?
Back up. That's pretty interesting.
Do you have a little blurb on that? You can
not in front of me. Yeah, go ahead you go ahead.
I'll riff. Okay. Which means it's mostly right. I mean,
yeah, at least 95%.
I mean, the basic idea is that it's kind of in the parallel universe thing, but that because what they're doing is it the Hadron Collider is what it's called? I don't know exactly a lot of it. I just know the gist that it's in France and they're smashing these particles together at like really massive speeds. And they're basically trying to tear a hole in the fabric of reality. And some people think that maybe they have, and that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like these universe. You ever see that movie or that TV series Fringe?
No.
Oh, that's great. You should check it out. It's really, really good.
If you found out that never existed.
Oh.
Did it star Sinbad?
It didn't have Sinbad, but it kind of is along those lines. It's like there's different realities overlapping, and these may be caused by these scientists. And that's another weird thing. I don't know if I said that on the last podcast, but when I found out about it, it blew my mind about when they were splitting the atom for the first time, and all these physicists were like, it might destroy all of reality, and they still split the atom. They still did it. Even
gotta know.
There was a lot of physicists saying, like, I really don't think this is a good idea. We shouldn't do it. And I mean, there are so many things in our history, especially the 20th century, that are just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
You cannot believe. There was one point in time where during the Cold War and the moon race, American scientists were saying, what we should really do is we're going to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon to show our superiority.
Yeah.
And it was like mainstream physicists and the astronauts, like mainstream scientists suggesting this idea. Guys, I mean, I'm trying to think of a name of one, but there'd be like names you knew when I looked it up. And it was just like Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan was like, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's blow up a nuke on the moon. You're like, are you now
better than blowing one up here, I suppose?
Oh God, they had already done that. But I mean, the point is,
I see where they got
JFK shut that down. Like they were supposed to do it. It's probably why they killed him. But they were supposed to do a nuke, and he walks in, he's just like, no, we're not blowing up nuclear bombs on the moon just to make a point.
We can't even get to the moon, guys.
Get to the moon. Yeah. But now thinking about like the moon's delicate position within the universe for our life to exist. And to think some crazy scientist thought, What if you blow up a nuke on the moon and then the balance of the tides
Victimless
is
crime.
off and
Yeah.
the entire planet? Like, what if it like loses its orbit and
Yes,
crashes into
absolutely.
us?
Yeah.
Nobody stopped to think about that. I mean,
No.
or the guys that did, they were not as loud as the guys that said, "Let's
Right.
do it,
Yeah.
let's do it."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think, could they tear a hole in the fabric of reality? Well, they absolutely, yeah, it's the nature of scientists.
They might try. Yeah.
If they thought they
Well.
might be able to, they definitely would try it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cowboy scientists.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess cowboy or
The thing that struck me with that, these like, mashing these particles together is like, sort of like one of these other theories we got into is like, seems like a awfully trivial consequences to happen. If that's
well, the theory is that they're specifically altering insignificant things as they develop this program or technology. They don't want it to be anything big, because then you would notice it.
That Mandela one's a pretty big one.
You know what the weirdest thing about that was? Mandela's death?
Yeah, what's that?
Weirder than the Mandela Effect is, do you remember at his funeral when Obama spoke there and the sign, they had a guy doing sign language right in front of Obama that was faking it the whole time?
No.
He's like doing like crazy, like all this weird things, and just he's dead serious. And it wasn't until after the fact that somebody was like, that's not actually sign language. Who the hell is this guy? And he's like right next to the president. He's standing next to the president, past secret security and everyone. And it turns out he was just a crazy guy. He was just a crazy Nigerian, and he's just up there making fake sign language, probably just because it was a gig. You know what I mean? Like he just needed the money, and they're like, sign language, and he faked it enough that they're like, that was sign language. Yeah. And then he never expected to actually have to be able to do it in front of anyone.
Or he faked it well enough to get hired and thought, well,
close enough.
I sold it to the guy I needed to sell it to.
I don't know, but
signs the check.
You can look up that video still. That's a weird one. Like just watching him sign fake sign language next to the president of the United States at Nelson Mandela's funeral. Did you look for it?
I'm going to, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've about exhausted our knowledge or input on the Mandela Effect. Hey, if anything, we had a good laugh. It was a good podcast. Are you sore from laughing?
Yeah, I haven't laughed like that in a long time.
That makes me very happy to hear that.
And it's been documented. Yeah,
it's been documented. God, yeah, I had a headache from laughing so hard. It's like, oh, calm down, Dante. But those damn Skechers, my God,
it's just nice to know.
That's what this thing is around. Like we can never be around Nick now again.
That's what this podcast is about. Is bringing people together in ways where it's kind of like, I thought I was the only one. So it's things like
you're not alone.
Yeah, that's
Skechers
right.
are stupid, and we might be experiencing parallel universes. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean,
if you thought some of these Mandela Effect examples, if you go, yeah, I thought that too. It is, yeah. Then you're not alone.
You ain't alone.
Here's a Reddit post for you to join.
You ain't wrong, but you ain't right.
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna stop our automation here so I can say goodbye straight into the camera. So everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is the Conspiracy Dad podcast. My name is Dante. This is my good buddy Dave. We appreciate you listening. We're gonna ask your help though to give us a review on the iTunes. If you can give us a positive review, that's even better. Like and subscribe. Share it with family and friends. Anybody that you know that is into conspiracy theories. And if you have a favorite conspiracy theory you want us to talk about, put it in the comments. Shoot us an email. Whatever you want to do. Reach out to us on Facebook. Thank you so much for listening. You guys have a good night. We'll see you next time. Peace.